Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jen.
I'm Kimberly, and this is That Vegan Morning Show.
It sure is. I didn't talk over you this time saying it.
At one point, we'll get it together and we'll actually say it at the same time.
We will. We will get our act together. But we're here, and I'm so excited, as I'm always excited to meet with you, Kimberly, because we have a
Same.
very big conversation. But first, how was your weekend?
My weekend was so good. On Friday, we were off from work. So we went to my parents' house and we spent the day in the pool. My mom was sick, so she was like inside. We only got to see her for like a minute. She stood at the door, the back door, and like waved and said hello. And then she went back to bed. So I hope that she's feeling better now. But
Oh,
but
I hope
yeah,
so
so we spent
too.
the day in the pool. My brother and his family were there as well. So it was just really nice. And then Saturday and Sunday. So on Saturday, there was a concert in the UK. I can't remember the name of the town, Birmingham maybe, but it was the a farewell to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. And JP was excited to watch it. You could get a live stream ticket, so we did that. And so we started watching the concert. So again, Jen's having some issues with StreamYard, I guess, or worthy of like me and okay, we're back.
I just sorry about that. I'm having some wonky. It started last week, and StreamYard has a note posted on my console that some people are having issues because of some change they made. So if I pop in and out, I'm sorry.
No worries. After you went away, I kind of like did a little thing about that you might be in and out, and then mine cut out too. So
Oh no, so they
yeah,
got you too.
I think so. But we're back, and
The show must go on.
exactly, we will get it. We'll get it done because it's a great conversation. But just to finish my comment about the weekend, so we watched this concert. There were a lot of amazing bands. I wrote a blog about one of them yesterday, and it was really fun. It was nice to have that to do throughout the weekend, and since we were able to watch it yesterday as well, we were kind of able to do some other things and still get through the whole show. It was really cool. How was your weekend?
That sounds really great. I can't believe Ozzy Osbourne is doing a farewell tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm noticing more and more a lot of bands and musicians are doing this, and it's like, wait a minute, that means they're older.
Yep. Hmm.
What does that mean about we're still young, Kimberly?
That's right.
Yeah, my weekend was pretty good. I was sick over the week, so by Friday I was feeling almost better, just a little just lethargic. But overall much better. I took it easy, and then Saturday my husband and son had other stuff going on, and I had some me time and just did some things at home, caught up with stuff, and then we went to was our Brooklyn family day yesterday. We drive into Brooklyn once a month to see family. My husband's mom and dad both have birthdays in July, so we did like a little birthday celebration. My sister-in-law and her husband barbecued, and they made me a lot of vegan stuff. They always make sure I have a lot of vegan options.
Hmm.
They usually buy more vegan things than they would normally eat. So then they just end up sending it all home with us because they're not going to touch it. And it's all good vegetables, but
Excellent.
flavorful stuff. But then which is great because now I don't have to make lunch.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's pretty much my weekend in a nutshell. And hopefully our StreamYard behaves. But yeah, Kimberly, do you want to kick us off with our big topic today?
Yeah. So we are talking about celebrities and the wellness industry and like Is it hurting? Yeah, exactly. Is it hurting or helping veganism? And we watched 3 videos. 2 of them were videos by Earthling Ed Winters. And he, if you're not familiar with him, he does a lot of conversations with people about veganism, people who start off saying like, veganism's stupid, or, you're an idiot. Why would you think that animals care about whether they're killed for food? And then he always has like really solid conversations with them and arguments, this discourse where very often people, even if they don't walk away going, you know what, yeah, I'm going to go vegan, they they can start to see kind of how they're thinking is maybe not actually in alignment with what they feel and who they are. And so he's like constantly just planting seeds, and he does these great, really well produced videos. He's really pleasant to listen to, and he's really smart. So I enjoyed both his videos about the wellness industry and about celebrities. And then we followed it up with a kind of a reaction video.
Yeah, with Unreal Vegan, right? That's her
Yeah,
name.
yeah. Yep, a reaction video with Unnatural Vegan, the Unnatural
Unnatural, that's
Vegan.
what it is.
Yeah.
Unnatural.
And I have mixed feelings about her, which we can talk about when we
Same.
get to that. But
Same.
because I wound up watching another one of her videos, and I kind of was like, I don't know about this. But so she reacted to his to Earthling Ed's video about about the wellness industry. And so yeah, it was really interesting. I have like 2.5 pages of notes, and
I had my notes too.
what Jen, what's your like initial thought, or where do you want to start with this?
Sure. So one of the first things I have is in reference to are celebrities hurting or helping the vegan movement?
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the notes I have are, influencers going vegan and then giving up, and then they're bad mouthing veganism because they treat it as like a trend or a diet. So they go fruitarian, or they just, do some other extreme non-balanced form of eating. And we did a deep dive on this a while back. And I think for the replay, we should link that conversation we had about Chegans and former vegans and celebrities like Cyndi Lauper, who I love Cyndi Lauper, but I wasn't happy with her, rant about how she almost died from veganism because all she ate was spinach. Right?
Yep.
and what I love Earthling Ed. I could listen to him talk all the time.
Yeah.
He's just got an amazing voice. He's very smart. And I always listening to his work. And then I also read his book last summer, How to Argue with a Meat Eater and Win Every Time. I find his work so important because it's helped me speak up more about veganism with the non-vegans in my life. And he's given me the words to use that I didn't necessarily have. So now I use him as a reference all the time because I feel like he's very helpful for those of us who, and we all, whether we live in vegan families or non-vegan families, we're always going to come across non-vegans who are going to challenge us at some point. Yeah. And I always feel like there's a great video, you can always reference people to look at him or just learn how to prepare for some of the arguments in advance that are typical arguments that vegans have. So yeah, I feel like, he brought up that, and he talked about, the ex-bogus vegan health claims, like certain celebrities, claim, again, they're making it all about the food, right? Not about the animals. And he was saying, he said something really smart. When a celebrity goes vegan, we should be happy that they're no longer participating in animal exploitation. And what happens is we've lost, it's easy to lose sight about what veganism is all about when we make it all about the celebrities and the celebrities endorsing veganism And so yeah, so those are some of the things that came up for me, and I just thought that that was a very good point. And then he mentioned Joaquin Phoenix and Moby, how as examples of like really committed vegans who
Mhm.
make it about everything, and they've both been vegan for a really really long time. I mean, Moby has veganism tattooed all over him, so
Right.
he's very committed.
Yeah.
And so I think I really felt it was a great video delineating between all the different layers of celebrities going vegan for the diet, and then it's not working for them, and then all of a sudden they're not vegan, and all of a sudden they're speaking out against veganism. And yeah, that can be really hurtful because people aren't going to do their research, and they're going to blame, oh, well, so and so went vegan and it almost killed them. So veganism is bad. Why should I bother? We need
Right.
more Mobies and Joaquin Phoenixes out there who are legitimately, ooh, that's a hard word to say at this hour, legitimately committed to what veganism is truly about. So that's what some of the thoughts that I had about that video. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I also noted where he said, like, you know, when celebrities go vegan, we should celebrate that and be excited that they're not contributing to the animal exploitation anymore. And that when they stop being vegan, we should be upset, not because we're disappointed in the person, but because the person is now contributing again to the animal exploitation. And that we shouldn't see it as like when a celebrity goes vegan, it's validation of veganism. We should see it as validation of that celebrity. And I know that when I find out that a celebrity says that they're vegan and I'm already kind of like I'm into their work or I like what they're doing, I do get really excited like yay, they're one of us. Like that's so
Mm-hmm.
cool and it makes me feel more excited about who they are and what they're doing, more interested in their work. And then, yeah, when in those moments where where they move away from veganism, I am disappointed. And it is more about the fact that now they are then contributing again to animal exploitation than it is about me and how I feel. You know, it's so important and it's hard when these celebrities are just like you said talking about what they're eating, it's all about their diet. It's so important to remember that veganism isn't about us. We're
Mm-hmm.
involved because we make choices, but it's not about us. It's about the animals. So it doesn't, the most important thing is that we're taking ourselves out of contributing to the exploitation. And where I, so he brought up Lizzo, and Lizzo, for me, huge disappointment across the board, not even just about her not being vegan anymore. She turned out to be kind of a real shit person. And
I was also very disappointed about that because I also used to think she was such a great role model
yeah,
until
and like
everything else
so
came out.
just yeah, just so positive about what she looked like, who she was, like what she brought to the table essentially. And yeah, just everything just totally flat. But when she I remember the video she posted when announced she wasn't vegan anymore, and she said, "I decided to add protein back to my diet." Well, there's tons of protein in vegan food. So what she meant was she added animal protein back to her diet, which um she really did a disservice by not qualifying that. But because people who don't know about veganism might think that, oh yeah, there's no protein in vegan food. So of course, if you need protein, you have to not be vegan anymore. And so, yeah, across the board, so disappointed with her as a whole. But another thing, so Ed talks about celebrities, but he also talks about influencers. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not the best person to have this conversation because the word influencer grosses me out. I have always felt like someone who is an influencer, like I am not interested in them at all. I don't because and what it is because I feel like there's no integrity with someone who's an influencer. And Ed talks about that too, because and I think you mentioned it kind of in your summary, that they're following the money.
Right.
They go vegan and really plant-based because that's the trend. And he even said like it's kind of fringe, so it's cool. And 10 years ago, not everybody was talking about veganism or being plant-based. And now they are, so it's not as cool. And so where the money is, where the people are like, oh, that sounds fun, is like carnivore diets, where people now can use that as an excuse to eat animals when that's what they've wanted to do the whole time because they like it, and so this idea of influencers and the level of access we give these people who are just going from product to product, idea to idea, because that's again what gets them paid. And we like listen to them, and he even points out how there are people who will be quoting stuff from TikTok, and then you present them with, hey, here's actual studies done by real doctors that say X, Y, and Z, and that what you're hearing on TikTok is actually not true. And here's where the truth is, and here's what actually is better for you and for us as a whole. And they're just like, no, no, no. So and so on TikTok said that, I'm gonna drink this, like what was that supercharged like oxygenated water on
Oh
that
yeah,
Erewhon
and he
site?
was showing a store. What
It was
was it
like
called?
$84 or something for
And they had a lot of, and then he was showing an influencer at that store making a smoothie that had like mostly vegetables, and then it had like organ meat powder or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the smoothie that Jen was just talking about it was like organ meat powder, some kind of like raw milk. So that's another thing, right? These influencers now are talking about raw milk, which is banned in so many places because it's so dangerous. And it's like raw milk, the animal organ powder, and yeah, a ton of vegetables. And anyway, you were saying about the smoothie.
Yes, sorry about this. I am going to be reaching out to StreamYard later. StreamYard, if you're listening. um, yeah, thanks for picking up where I got kicked out. Yeah, it's right, exactly, the raw milk. And he was talking about how like there's this trend of like if it's so because a lot of people don't trust the government, right? I wonder why. There's not enough time in this show for that, but
Nope.
won't even go there. But but right, so people, there's a natural, I think there's like a normal you know people like distrusting, and then there's people who believe all these like fringe ideas, or just some scientists said this, or there's like this rebellion, right? People look up to
Mhm.
rebellion. So if you're going against the mainstream,
Yeah.
and look, people don't trust the medical industry because we've been lied to in the medical industry, but that doesn't mean that another lie cancels out the other lie, right? and,
Mhm.
and, and he was talking about with the influencers how like they start off with things that you feel an immediate benefit from, right?
Yeah.
You have like meditation or some other type of healthy habit they introduce you to, and you start to develop a trust with them. And that's when they start. So you already know them, you trust them, and then they start giving you these other ideas or products, right? And he was talking
Mhm.
about conspiracy theories, and I think there's a healthy belief in some of that stuff, and then there's the unhealthy belief. And I'm a big person. I'm going to do my due diligence about anything
Yeah.
I read. And I think that's a big problem too, just in society with news, right? People are
Mhm.
just relying on social media. And with AI and just everything, we have to really be careful, and we really need to read whatever it is. If you see something, whether it's coming from a source you believe in or not, I check in all the time, no matter what the source is, to get more
Mhm.
information because we have to for our well-being.
Yeah.
And so circling back to the influencers, um,
Mhm.
when you trust this person, you have a rapport built with them, and now you're going to believe whatever nonsense they tell you, and that's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like especially the younger generations who have only known life with social media and the internet,
Mhm.
they don't know what life was like before then. They're going to trust it even more so. And so I think, yeah, so there's a lot of serious stuff with all of that. And I feel like we can transition to the other video that he
Yeah.
talked about. Do you have the name, the title of it? I have it written down somewhere in my.
Oh,
It was
no.
about the wellness industry,
Yeah.
and he was talking about he started off. It was about he was talking about Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop, for example,
I know. And then he shows clips of her on various late night talk
which
shows,
were like unbelievable.
and she doesn't know what's on her website. And then they ask her about it, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And she like laughs about it and makes it like, but I mean, come on. Like your
Right.
name is everywhere and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any idea what's going on there. And then the one highlight that they make about how she talks about her daughter Apple doesn't want anything to do with cruelty to animals, which is so great because that matches right up with their philosophy and the products that they sell at Goop. And then Ed Winters points out that there are multiple products that include animal uh, skins and excretions, and it's just like she's so. I mean, look, we all know Gwyneth Paltrow is not at all in the same reality that most of us are. Like she has just been so out of touch for so long. She came up with two famous parents, and she just she's had a ton of money for a very long time, and she's kind of always been a little separated, I think. So I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow, it was a good example of this website that people go to. There's a ton of information there. People will read the articles and they'll trust it because she's a name that people know. And so they
Mm-hmm.
trust, like, well, she would never do anything to damage her name. So of course everything on here must be safe and good and correct. But then you find out that she has no idea what's even on her website. So it's like you were saying, like you really have to do your due diligence and really look into everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're talking about bee sting therapy.
Yeah.
And she made some comment like, I don't remember what it was, like, I'm not a bee expert or something like
Yeah, I'm
that.
not a bee practitioner, she
That's
said.
what it was, bee practitioner.
Whatever the heck that is.
Look, I'm not a bee practitioner either, but I know what happens to bees when they sting people.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
I learned that in elementary school.
Exactly. Yeah, and she's like totally surprised when they say like, "Oh, don't they die?" Oh. That was her reaction. Oh.
So really, there's some real alignment there with values.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I really appreciated just all of the different things that he's just, again, like you said, very, very smart, connecting all these ideas. And so I want to circle over. Was there anything else you want to say on that before I connect it over to the
Mhm.
reaction video that we
Yeah.
watched?
Yeah, just one thing. I did look at some of the comments on the wellness video. I was curious what people would have to say to Ed about this. And I saw a comment from Cheap Lazy Vegan. And she points out that she doesn't like to promote veganism from a health perspective ever, even though she's sharing recipes and things like that, because people can confuse it and it becomes this like thing that people do for a little bit to lose weight, or because they think it's like the cool thing to do, and then they move away from it. Like, she likes to
Mhm.
present it from the ethical side of things, so that you get the whole picture. And I think that really is the best thing that we can be doing for veganism. And then just one more thing that Ed pointed out about Bella Ramsey having voiced a
Yes.
short film that he did. And, they came out and said they're no longer vegan and they're eating eggs. But now Ed has this video about
Mhm.
veganism voiced by a person who is no longer vegan. And I know, having the podcast that I have, that there have been times where I've thought about, like, what happens if the one of these people I've interviewed isn't vegan anymore? Like, what do I do with that episode? Because if people go back and listen to it, and yeah, the person was vegan at the time, but now am I like promoting whatever they're doing now by still having their episode out there? And even people, he mentions the the veganism, or no, what did he call it? The plant-based to right-wing pipeline.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember what exactly. I'll figure it out. We'll put it in the notes. But yeah, like, there have been people where I've gone, oh yeah, they're like fully on that side now. And do I want that person represented on my podcast? And so it's a little tricky with when we're doing this kind of work. But anyway, let's go into the reaction video.
Yeah, and just a very quick follow-up to what you just said. I think, for me, it started off with health and the food, and it's a big part of what I want to do, because I do want, a lot of people have reached out to me in my friend and family circle when I do post recipe videos. So there's a lot of value in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the process of striking a balance of talking about that, but what kept me vegan is the animal stuff. So I've been finding this, I finally found a way to like integrate talking about both, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, it started off for me with the diet, but once I found out this other stuff,
Yeah.
if I'm going to have a cheat day, I'm not going to have a cheat day with a burger that's made out of animals. I will
Right.
go have something else, or, I'll have a burger, or I'll have ice cream. Like, you can have your cheat days
Mm-hmm.
as a vegan with all the comfort foods and junky foods you loved.
Yeah.
And no animals need to be harmed in the process. So that's where
Exactly.
I'm trying to merge all those worlds together, because I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
important to educate people who are starting out in the diet for the diet reasons, to let them
Mm-hmm.
know, hey, you know what? When you want to have your cheat day, you don't need to include animals in that.
Yeah.
But yes, let's go unnatural vegan, right? That was her
Yeah.
name.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I found her because you showed me a video of her when we were talking about Seaspiracy, and that was a really insightful video.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed her, and then it popped up that she did a reaction video to Ed Winter's discussion on the wellness industry, and where he's talking about Goop, and like Gwyneth Paltrow's on the cover of that
Mm-hmm.
thumbnail.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit, I had mixed feelings on her, where she was going on it. Like, she seemed like she was very upset with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did definitely seem very upset. And I get that these reaction videos, so here's another thing that I don't love about the internet, is that these reaction videos, whether it's like music or a reaction to another video that someone has put up, they take it piece by piece and they just start. And so she listens to his first point, and she already has an opinion about it before hearing his whole his actual argument. Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah, so well, part of it, yeah, she was going on, right, yeah. So she was already like, I felt like she approached it from a very defensive place,
Yeah.
and the whole video, and he, she was talking about, I don't know what you said in like the 30 seconds I was away, but she was talking about how like people, because like what we were talking about before, right? People don't trust the mainstream medical industry, and
Mhm.
or they don't have the money to afford other things, so out of desperation they turn to other alternatives.
Right.
And I don't think Ed was saying other alternatives are bad. He was just saying that you can't just blindly trust people. And I think
Right.
that's where she misunderstood him. And
Mhm.
then I read an interesting comment of hers, and someone mentioned how she started for plant-based reasons for health, and she gets a little, I guess, defensive when she feels like that, the people being vegan for health folks are getting attacked. And so I thought that was interesting. And then again, I don't know too much about her yet. I skimmed through some of her other videos, and I feel like she's, if anything, interesting to watch, just to get ideas of things to talk about and just see
Mhm.
other angles on things. Um, but yeah, and so I can kind of relate to that as someone who first started in veganism before the diet, feeling at the beginning, like, oh my god, vegans are judging me. But over time, as I've gone further in my vegan journey, I feel like that defensiveness has like slipped away,
Mhm.
and I understand, like, I get it. I understand why the other vegans are like frustrated at the time when I first entered this world. And so that comment gave me a little perspective of maybe at, I don't know how long she's been vegan. I don't know her full journey. Um, and I think she just misunderstood what Ed was saying. I think she
Mhm.
misunderstood the main point. So
Yeah.
those are some of my takes on it before this thing kicks me off.
Yeah,
What about
I I felt her defensiveness as well, and so you sharing that comment does shed some light on why she reacts that way. And look, veganism is a philosophy. It's a social justice movement. It's a
Yeah,
whole lifestyle. It's not a diet. So coming to it from health is great if you take it all the way.
right.
And if you're not going to take it all the way, it's really important that you don't call yourself vegan. And I know that I get some pushback on this. Sometimes people get very upset. I'm being so precious about this word. And it's because we don't want confusion, because
Yeah,
confusion leads to vegans being served animal products. It leads to vegans not being understood. And it creates things that we don't need in a movement that already has so much pushback and so many issues, and people don't listen, they don't respect it, and so we're fighting that battle from like down here, and then we have someone come in and they're like, oh, I'm vegan, and they're just eating plants, and then they're not taking in the entire process. And I know that people don't go vegan overnight. I didn't go vegan overnight. I was vegetarian for 14 years.
yeah,
So I get it. But I didn't call myself vegan that during that time. I called myself vegetarian because that's what I was. And if I ever felt like I needed to use the word vegan, it would have been I'm working on going vegan. And so it's just these like little like tweaks.
hmm,
And if we do them, then like the people who come to it from starting at the diet don't need to feel defensive the way she was feeling defensive, because we're taking it step by step, and it's okay. Whatever gets you here, I am so happy to have anybody in the vegan movement who is committed to it. So I don't care how you get here. I want you here. And I just want to make sure that we're not using language that confuses people who don't quite understand it. And then it leads to kind of diluting the word.
I agree with everything you just said. And it took me 2 years to fully transition and commit to being vegan. But I knew in my heart I wanted to get there. So I called myself an aspiring vegan.
Mhm.
And so I feel like, the language is very important to prevent that confusion and misunderstandings, because that's what hurts the movement. And
Yeah.
just perpetuates more misinformation being shared at the table amongst
Yeah.
everybody, right?
Right.
Oh, I saw this video by so and so. So because I saw it on social media, that
Mhm.
means it must be this influencer has 3 million followers. They must
Right.
be right? Like
Yeah.
these are not
No.
metrics to go by.
Yeah, it is, I get it because even, the unnatural vegan, she said, like, people are they're seeking out alternatives, they're seeking out these things on TikTok and whatever out of fear because they don't
Right.
know what else to do, because the idea of taking on whatever it is that maybe their medical doctor is telling them is too frightening or they don't trust it. Okay, but like to treat TikTok as your doctor is really scary. And it
Yeah.
goes back to the whole influencer thing. Like, why are we giving these people who are following the money this much power in our lives? Like
It's just like
what
the
you were
pharmaceutical
saying.
industries, right? Like
Yeah.
the pharmaceutical industries and the medical industry, they follow where the money goes.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get away with that by finding another version of that that's on
Mhm.
social media instead. You're just
Yeah.
replacing another poison with another poison.
Yeah. And it's like these people have, nice videos or they're beautiful or, their home is gorgeous and it's what you aspire to have. And you see that they're drinking raw milk and eating, you know, organ meats. And you're like, oh, well,
There's
that's what they're
nothing
doing.
appealing about any of that.
I know. I don't get it.
If it
But I
has
wouldn't
organs, maybe you shouldn't be eating it.
exactly. But, another thing with the unnatural vegan where I kind of felt like I don't know how I feel about her because I watched another video, like whatever the next video was that came up, and she was talking about backyard chickens. And we definitely
Really?
don't
Oh,
have
I didn't
time.
see that.
Yeah, we definitely don't have time to go into backyard chickens, but maybe when we talk to Anna Woodstock, that'll be a good person to have that conversation with. But
Yeah.
she's talking about this family that took in rescue chickens. They didn't buy them from the local, feed supply, whatever, tractor supply store, but they took in rescues. And they're talking about that, this family, they had been vegan, but now they're eating the eggs from the chickens that they've taken in. And they were like, well, we feed some of them back to the chickens. And, that's a necessity because chickens who have been in the food industry are so just depleted that they need to rebuild up their calcium and stuff. But he's like, but we eat the extras, the leftovers that they're not interested in. And then the unnatural vegan comes in, and her reaction was, I don't have a problem with people eating the eggs of their backyard chickens. You're taking care of them. You know that they're happy. And so, I mean, if it's an egg that the chicken doesn't care about, but like, who are you to decide if the chicken cares about the egg?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so that kind of made me go, she's
I
not for me, maybe.
yeah, I think if anything, I'm gonna watch her from time to time just to because she's finding things that maybe I wouldn't normally find to comment
Mhm.
about. So then I can go find those things too. So
Yeah.
I feel like she's an example of information that I don't necessarily agree with, but I like to know other perspectives out there.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
feel like she's good for that. To follow for that kind of stuff. And I feel like I'm gonna definitely check that out. Ed Winters also did a video about homesteading and all of that. And he showed this woman loving her chickens before they were gonna get slaughtered. I mean, giving them hugs. Like that's gonna make it all better, right? So
Right?
I feel like these are definitely good videos for us to check out
Yeah.
before we have Anna on,
Mhm.
and because I know we're going to be talking about some of that stuff because it
Yeah.
is a big issue right now,
Yeah.
and it's not all smiley chickens and everyone's
No.
happy.
Mm-mm.
So I think we should probably wrap things up before
Yeah.
StreamYard decides to kick me off again. And I see we have some viewers watching. Thanks for joining us. It just
Yeah,
popped
thank
on late.
you.
But yeah, feel free to comment where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Me and Kimberly are certainly can continue the conversation in the comments
Yes.
after. Is there anything else you wanted to wrap up with, Kimberly?
Just that next week we have a special guest, Dina Myler, and she'll
Yes.
be joining us talking about this incredible organization called Women Funders in Animal Rights. So if you're curious about what that is, please check us out on Monday. Dina will have all the deets on that.
I'm really looking forward to having this conversation and learning more about it. You shared a little bit with me when we were preparing to have her on as a guest, so I'm really excited to learn when we have her on. So I think this is going to be great.
I think so too.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kimberly. As always, it's wonderful chatting with you.
Yes,
And we'll
always.
see you next week. Bye
Hey,
for
thank
now.
you. Bye.